Okay, let's try again. Is that any better, Rhonda? Is the sound better this time, or am I still sounding like a robot? Hello, Joan. Hello, Connie. It's okay now? It's better? Yes, yes, better. Okay. I don't know. Sometimes restart solves a myriad of problems. It's better, but is it what you expect? Hi, Linda Patrick. It's okay? Okay. All right. Sometimes you just have to take a break. The computer says, I'm not going to do this right now, and you need to restart me and give me some love. So it is what it is today. I know there's a new version of the software, the streaming software, so we may be in a position of having to finally upgrade that. I'll talk to Race. Thank you all for coming back. Thank you, thank you. Okay, good. Well, as I was saying earlier, before we were so rudely interrupted by the robots, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Yes, I am here. I'm glad you're here. It's Friday all day long. Yeah, so anyway, there must be something going on, because YouTube is telling me there's no data. Like, okay, whatever. Anyhow, it's good to be here. Good to see you all. And hello to Tim. Updates are really fun. Not. Oh well. So it is Friday, and we let's see, on Monday night, in case you missed it, just by way of review, we had been working on, I think for one session, maybe two, we worked on finishing this Bingo Dauber mandala. Okay, all the spots on here from Bingo Daubers. And then the rest of it was done with Jelly Roll pens and a little bit of Posca pen, and then using these Sharpie creative markers, the bullet point markers. We did some with that. Then I took it to the copy place. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad he's watching. That's great, Linda. Tell him I said thanks for watching. So then I took this to Kinko's, and I had them duplicate it on this sheet, which is copy paper. It's the only thing that, this is the only choice of paper they had, which is probably 20 pound, maybe 22-pound paper. It's a little bit of a sheen. I don't know if you can see a little bit of the sheen of it. And so I did several copies of that. Then I did several copies on cardstock that they had. I'm telling you, that cardstock is some heavy stuff. Anyway, we cut down one of the copies. And Monday night made some cards. So this is half of the sheet and made into cards. And then once I put them on a mat and then put them on a pre-folded card base, then I did some embellishment, added some things using more of the dot markers and a black pen and that kind of stuff. Hi, Barbara Clark. Once I did that, then I called it done. You know, I embellished them a little bit more with, like, I added some orange dots into some of the orange spots and some yellow dots and some other places and so forth. And then I added some of the phrases, the snarky phrases from Tim Holtz. Like, I've got it all together, but I forgot where I put it. And that is particularly appropriate right now, since I don't know where anything is. Very few things do I know where they are. But I'm working on it. 2/3 of my house is is done. I have 1/3 left to go. Relax, we're all crazy. It's not a competition. Yes, so that is the truth of that. And this one is you can never have too much happy. That is so true. This wasn't snarky. This is one of the other ones. And this is the one that I used the gold pen on and put the gold dots on it. I don't know if you'll be able to see those, but the gold dots were too small, and so I came back over it with this pink. And the funny thing is, in between the pink spots, dots, you can see the gold ones in real life, as we say. And then I added some yellow dots in there and just, zhuzhed it up a little bit. Now, from that, I had, what's going on here? I'm not sure what's going on with that camera. Well, we'll find out, won't we? There must be a gremlin in the studio today. From there, I had 3 more pieces of paper left to do something with. And so I was playing around with 2 of them. And I'll show you what I did. They're not completely done because they're not put on cards. Wow, we are really changing shots real slowly. I don't know what's up with that. We won't be doing a lot of shot changing. That's funny. Any luck on the house? If luck means, hi Dorothy, if luck means that that I about got it cleared out, yes. I haven't technically listed it yet, so I'm not technically showing it yet. We did have a showing last week, which didn't result in a contract, but it's movement. I'll take it. I'll take it. The first step is I got to get everything out of the house, and I'm getting much closer. So anyway, back to this one. I got this one I played around with, just adding, more little embellishments here and there. Not a lot, but a little bit. This one I used a really fine black pen, and I think this happened to be a Micron Pigma Micron. And I think that's what I used on this, and I just put radiating very fine lines just to kind of give it, just for something different, so that worked. But when I was playing around with this idea, I did the 3rd piece of paper, which did not work. It didn't look good. I didn't like it at all. That is so bizarre. There must be, can you all, when I change shots, do you all see it, the shot fade in? That is too funny. Race and I are going to have a chat about that. Anyway, oh well. Anyway, the 3rd one of these that I had, I was playing around with this idea and it looked terrible, and so I'm like, well, that ruins that whole one. And you know what? I just decided to salvage it. So I cut it in half, and I made an ATC out of this one. So I backed it with a piece of cardstock. And then this one was the one where I had started playing around with this idea of adding lines. And I just decided that that looked terrible, so I just cut around it. Inked around it, and added it to a piece of periwinkle cardstock. I just glued it on with glue stick, and so it will become an ATC. So it's salvageable, and then there's plenty of room for quotes or some other embellishment or whatever. Yeah. So the moral of the story is, don't throw your stuff away necessarily just because it didn't turn out the way you wanted it. You might get an unexpected bonus out of it, which is what that was. Okay, so there's that. So that's what we did on Monday and after Monday and so forth. All right, one of the things I wanted to show you today is we're going to do, let's see if this will work again. It's like slow motion. It's like coming up from the deep. That's funny. That's an interesting thing going on there. Today, what I thought we would do is we'll do some playing around. Oh, thanks, Dorothy. Barb's gridded, and then she comes up from the deep. It does clear up, right? For you guys? That's funny. Hi, Marilyn. Good to see you. Anyway, what I thought we would do today is use a piece of paper. This is drawing paper. It does. Okay. That's weird. I haven't had that happen before. There's always some new little quirky thing that you got to deal with. Anyway, we're going to use my mandala cards and maybe some other cards, I don't know, as prompts, and or not. I may just do something completely random because I have another idea floating in my head, which may win out, because usually when the idea is floating in my head, that's that inner creative spirit that goes, you're going to do this today. Yeah, so anyway, it's just been a crazy week. And I thought, well, let's just start out. We'll look at my card collection. I thought you might enjoy seeing my card collection of they're for different purposes. So I'm going to show them to you. And then either we will or we won't use my cards. I'm not sure. So here you go. And she floats away. That is so bizarre. Okay. Let's start with some creative cards. Janice J.L. Johnson sent these to me. She sent these to me at the time that Clausman passed away. And these are such neat cards. I've actually used some of these, and I've sent a couple of them to other people. But it's when there are no words. And these are, I believe, Joanne Fink's. Yeah, Cards and Sentiments by Joanne Fink. He was famous, I would say famous, for doing Zen doodling and probably Zen doodling. And so these are, you can see some of her books. Joanne Fink does coloring books and inspiration books and so forth. Anyway, these are her cards. She does a lot of borders, a lot of Zen dangles. She's known really well for Zen dangles. And these are just really, really nice cards. And I read them all, and then I've used some of them and sent them to other people as well. So those are really nice. They're good, sturdy cards, too. And 44. Uplifting messages of hope and healing for the brokenhearted. So that was one. This was another one I bought myself. And this one is Guided Art Therapy Card Deck, 75 Activities. Has a little guidebook with it. And so these are nice big cards with an instruction and questions on the back. I've forgotten exactly what they all signify, but anyway, there's red, there's orange, there's yellow, orange, green, dark green, like a periwinkle kind of color, and then a cerulean blue kind of color. So those are quite interesting cards. I've done a few of the exercises, and I think we actually did some of the exercises here one time, but I bought those at my local Barnes & Noble. Guided Art Therapy Card Deck by Emily Sharp. And this likes to come apart. The lid likes to come off of it, and so I just keep it closed with a hair tie. This one is by Kylie Givehand. Now some of these, I have no idea if they're even still available. So this one probably is not currently. She produces cards and then a limited quantity and sells them, and then when they're gone, they're gone. But this is from Kyla Givehand, and these are mixed media inspirations, and so you can just kind of shuffle the deck and go through when you're just, you're not inspired, you don't know where to go, you don't know how to get started. Sometimes just having a card deck to get you going really helps. And at this point, she had this deck, and then she did several expansion packs, they were called. And then at a later date, I think she ended up putting all of them together into one big pack. And this was, I believe, what she ended up doing. She took her mixed media inspiration deck and then added the expansion packs into it, and I think that's what all of this is. So this is the empowerment edition. So we'll look at the back on a few of them. Only use the primary colors to create a repeated shape. Doodle a border around the edge. Add a piece of fabric, a scrap or new. Use an old toothbrush to splatter paint. Draw something that makes you smile. Freehand sketch or trace. Doodle a pattern of lines and dots. So this is a nice big deck of cards. I don't know how many it is, but it's quite a bit compared to this original deck. And as I said, I'm not sure what she has currently available. I'm just showing you all the ones I have. Let's see what this one is. Some of them I don't even remember. And these are the creative ones that I'm showing you at the moment. This is Kyla's writing inspiration deck. So this is another one of her decks of cards. It's an interesting shape. It's a square shape, which I don't often see the square shapes. And this is things to get you going for a creative tool for writers, journalers, and dreamers. Oh, don't worry, Rhonda. No worries. So, for example, write about something you remember hearing as a child that turned out to be true or not so true when you became an adult. My heart is set on doing fill in the blank before the week or the month or the year is over. The last time I said no to someone or something in order to say yes to myself was, so they're just writing prompts that get you going. So that's another one, another set by Kyla Givehand. This one was self-care empowerment. Somebody sent these to me and I cannot remember who it was. It might have been Nanette Church, but I don't remember. So this one is, I will find some more creative ones here also, but I'm just going to pick up the ones out of the box and we're just going to keep going. So self-care empowerment. So for example, what has changed in my life recently? How did I react? And could I have reacted better? Well, most of us can react better. Most of us can. What is my greatest strength? Remember, you become your thoughts. Be kind and loving with what you tell yourself throughout the day. That one is a challenge for most of us. And what kind of things inspire me? What are my true passions? What activities put me into the zone? And so that is the Self-Care Empowerment deck. And it's by, doesn't say who it's by, Allura and Arcia. Anyway, it says Self-Care Empowerment. These cards contain 52 self-care questions that can be used for mindfulness, meditation, or any other empowering process. With the help of these cards, you'll be able to examine your deeper self, discover and relax your inner strengths, discover and release your inner strengths and bring more energy into your life. And if any of you can say you don't want to do that, I'm going to say you're silly. You said you want to do nothing. I understand that too, Rhonda. I surely do. Okay, this was a deck that Debbie Boring sent me a long time ago. That's right. And let's see. Yeah, these are, okay. These cards, as I recall, the point of these was you could decorate the backs of the cards. So this is alcohol ink. And then there are, yeah, John Boring is her husband. And this was done in 2003. And how do you use ideas from others outside your area of expertise? Tell me about a time you felt like you took a calculated risk. Describe a time when you decided to escalate an issue to some higher up in the organization. So these were for, these were the ideas of things you could do with these. So idea leadership, working with internal and external groups and so forth. But the thing that was neat about these was that they had nothing on the one side, so you could actually decorate them yourself, which I thought was cool. And then what we did, I had it in here like this so that I would remember what the deal was. So if Debbie Boring shows up, you can ask her more about these, but those were produced a long time ago. They're probably no longer available, but that's a pretty cool idea. It's a pretty cool idea that you can color your own cards. Of course, these are my cards, the Mandala Madness inspiration cards. And so I'm sure many of you have these and have seen them. These are all individual different mandalas that I've done through the years. Plus they have a word of inspiration, a quote, a suggestion for something to do to kind of, again, get you jarred off dead center for if you're stuck when you're making a mandala. So that's what those are about. So they will inspire you, whether you're being inspired by the art, being inspired by the word, being inspired by the quote. And yeah, that's what our cards are still. And I have very few of these left. I do have some, but very few. Very few decks left at this point. Okay, then this is another deck that I made. This is a deck that I made the paper, several sheets of decorated paper, cut them up, and then we just wrote on the other side with the suggestion of people from the stream different ideas for, you know, prompts for jarring yourself off dead center. Plus I have a whole other list of things that came from someplace online, and I stuck those in there. Draw all sizes and shapes of stars. Draw a huge heart on the page. Fill the heart with things that make your heart happy. Draw with a pencil. Crumple a sheet of paper. Smooth it out and glue it to a page, or stamp on the sheet first and then crumple. So these are meant to just be individual prompts. Draw a sunflower, create one shape, create a page with only one shape, that kind of thing. But these are as inspirational for me on the outside as they are on the reverse side. So these were big sheets of paper, probably 16 by 20, that, or something thereabouts, that I created all the backgrounds. Some of them are very textural. This is quite textural in here. And then I cut them up, rounded the corners, and put the quotes on the back. Dorothy's working on a stitched mandala. Actually, a quarter of the mandala. That's cool. Starla added one of the cards to graduation cards this year to inspire the graduate. Oh, that's neat. That's a good idea. That's a cool idea. This is just a cardboard box left over from something that I did. I may have done this on stream. I've done this technique on stream. And I have the box. It's a metal box that inspired this technique somewhere here. It's here. I've moved it, but I'm not sure where it is yet. Anyway, that's the box. That's the storage box. These I've shown before. These I bought when I was in Australia and New Zealand because I loved the Aboriginal art that I saw there. And I bought these just because they just had such beautiful art on the one side, but then when you look on the other side, every card has different artwork, and they're all the dot paintings of the Aboriginal people. I mean, most of it's dot painting, not every single thing on every single card. But I bought these. I bought 2 decks of them for the inspiration for color and pattern, and just because I love them. And why would you have one? Why would you buy one when you could buy 2? They were very inexpensive, that was really nice. So sometimes I have things just for the inspiration, just for the heck of it, for the inspiration, right? Here's another one. You got this. Again, this was sent to me by a viewer. I don't remember exactly who it was. If they're not signed, and if I don't take the time to put on it someplace who sent it, I think maybe Amber sent this, but I'm not sure. Then I forget who sent them. But these were really interesting cards. This is not art related. This is just reminding you that you can do this. 50 motivational insight cards. Be clear, be direct, be unwavering by Cheryl Strayed. When the going gets tough, give yourself a boost with this deck of motivational insight cards. Choose one for inspiration and make it your motto as you go out and seize the day. And believe me, there were times when these cards were my lifeline. Absolutely were. And sometimes I would have one out on my desk for a month, and I would and the artwork is also beautiful on the cards. I love it when they do a cards deck and the artwork is different on each card. I find that phenomenal and wonderful. Very inspirational. But there's also all kinds of text inspiration and quote inspiration, and just things to just keep you encouraged, and sometimes keep you linked to your life. Sometimes, I know this is hard to imagine, but sometimes life is just really hard, isn't it? Yes. Hey, Shu. Hey, Sarah. Good to see you. Sarah is 3 dogs and 2 kids. I'm so glad you're here. Hope you're doing okay. I think about you a lot. Good to see Shu all the way from India. That is cool. Very cool to have you here. This is another creative kind of deck. This one, I had to do something. I was involved in doing something on this cards deck by Karen Friedland. I think I did a journal page or I can't remember exactly what it was. Anyway, I loved that one. One time, one of my great nieces did a drawing for my mom. She was just a little bitty girl, and it was the rear end of an elephant. And somebody asked her, she was just really small but talking, and asked her what that was, why the question is, it's an elephant butt. I mean, that's the obvious answer. And her answer was, it's an elephant going away. Like everybody was totally crazy not to be able to understand that was an elephant going away. Oh, I'm so glad, Shu. I'm so glad. But look at all the elephants. Look at this one. I do enjoy a good elephant image. There's another elephant going away. They're not all elephants, but these are the Creative Sparks cards by Karen Friedland. Here's some more. The artwork is beautiful, colorful, and quite inspirational. That's a neat image. And on the other side is a direction or a prompt, such as this one. Let's see, this is this one right here. Expressive drawing. On a large piece of paper, use charcoal to free draw anything you like. Lines, shapes, open or filled in, whatever is pleasing. When there's a part you don't like, white it out, obliterate it with gesso. Continue drawing and obliterating until you're satisfied with the composition. Was it freeing knowing that you were able to correct what you didn't like? So that's an example of that. I know the elephant cards are great, aren't they? They really are. Okay, one more creative one, then I'll get into the ones that are a little more on the woo-woo side of things. This is a very old deck by Roger Van Oak, and it's a creative whack pack. And this is meant for groups of people. I do like the gesture on the artwork. It's the same on all the cards. This is meant for groups for various idea like mind mapping and that kind of stuff. But there's also line drawings on the opposite side. So, for example, sense what's out of whack. Be critical and sense what's out of whack with the idea. Remember, you don't want to put a piece of garbage out into the world with your name on it. Ask, why won't it work? What's it lacking? What doesn't feel right about the idea? So that's one of those. Make a comparison. What do a cat and a refrigerator have in common? They both have a place to put fish. They both have tails. And they both come in a variety of colors. What similarities does your idea have with a raging river? A bud about to open, building a house, making a law, raising a child, waging war. How can these help you understand your idea in a new way? What can you compare your idea to? So these are all idea inspiration kinds of cards. And let's see, are these all upside down? A bunch of them are. But the artwork on the cards, pretty inspirational, pretty interesting. So some of them, then we run into more that are not upside down and so forth. Anyway, so those are the creative whack pack. All the same on the one side, but different artwork and inspiration on the reverse side. I have done the sidewalk crack things, yeah, from Carla Sondheim. Yeah, we should do some more of those. We should. So that is that. Okay, the rest of these get a little more woo-woo. This one is Kitchen Tarot, the 22 card deck by Susan, and I've forgotten how you say her name, Shy, I think. And she is known for her fabric art, and these are all the same, so I'll just show you on this side. She is known for her fabric art. Okay, now do you see all of that? It looks like lines on those cards. That's all writing. So she heavily uses a lot of text on her quilts. I can't even imagine how long that takes her. And this was the Kitchen Tarot card deck. And so that's why everything is kitchen, like the kitchen sink and this person here and all of that. So I am not, oh, and the other side does have more art. I didn't realize that. Okay, so here's more of the art on this side. Again, I think all of this is based on her quilts and fabric art. There you can see a lot more of the use of the words, I think. I'm not a tarot card user, but a friend of mine gave me this deck because she knew that I loved inspiration cards and fabric and words. And, you know, I appreciated that. There is a book that goes with this, the Kitchen Tarot and so forth. As I said, I'm not a tarot card person. I can still appreciate the artwork and the inspiration. So that is that one. This was another one someone gave me, Angels of Abundance. Doreen and Grant Virtue. I think they're mother and son duo. And so there's, I think the artwork, yeah, the artwork's all the same on one side, but the other side there's some really interesting art and some interesting concepts to think about. Power of prayer, deservingness, which is always something that we have. Most of us have a difficult time with the power of deserving things. So there's that one. I'm going to stick these back in my box here. This is Ask and It Is Given cards. This is Esther and Jerry Hicks. Again, the artwork is very interesting to me. The quotes are, what's so inspirational about this is that the drawings and the artwork are very childlike. The quotes are very interesting. If you know anything about Esther and Jerry Hicks, it's a whole rabbit hole you can go down that you may love it or you may go, that's the craziest stuff I've ever heard of. You are warned. These are also by Esther and Jerry Hicks, the well-being cards. Just because things don't necessarily align with my personal belief system does not mean that I can't appreciate what other people do and the things that they sometimes, you know, what basically, sorry, I wasn't even on screen. Truth is truth wherever you find it. And again, this is the same kind of artwork that the other deck has. It's very childlike, simple, but beautiful, inspirational artwork to look at. And then a little snippet that relates to the other side. So like this little snippet relates to this. And words to make, if it doesn't do anything else, it will make you stop and think. Okay, so there's that one. This one is Notes from the Universe on Abundance. I think that that's her only deck, Barbara. I think that's her only deck that she has out. These are landscape cards with some art added on top, and these may all be painted, or they are photographs that are taken into the computer and then made to look like art, I don't know. I don't remember. But there are some very, I mean, that is, I think, stunning. And looking up at a tree, there was a tree that in a park that I used to go to that was like this, except it was an oak tree, and it had huge big branches. It was over 100 years old, and every time I went by that tree, I would sit there, and it was just so calming and such an inspirational place to be. And the butterfly and the flowers, the artwork, I mean, looking up through the trees at the sunlight filtering in, the quietness of the woods in the winter. And these are by Mike Dooley, and these are have silver edges on them. But I'll give you an example of one of the cards. Today, you're a magnet for infinite abundance, divine intelligence, and unlimited love. Actually, this has always been true. Rock on from the universe. So that gives you the way that he started, I think, was he did a post on, I don't know, Instagram or someplace. He posted every day a note from the universe. And it was very, very interesting to listen to, or to read, and then they came out with a set of cards. These are healing cards by Carolyn Mace and Peter, I don't know his last name. Again, these are wonderfully beautiful cards. Without hope, we live in desire. The world lives and breathes, and we can draw its spirit into us. Now look at that face. That is a happy face right there. The root cause of all disease is the negative attitude about taking care of yourself. I mean, you can agree or disagree with the cards. That's not the point of these cards for me. The point of these cards for me most of the time is having they make me think. They make me stop and take a look. Health promotes spirituality, and spirituality promotes health. A lot of them there are hard to argue with, and then there are some that I can argue with very successfully. But I love the artwork, the color. They're all different. I don't think they're all done by the same artist, but I could be wrong. Lots of inspiration inside those. And then on the other side is an expansion of whatever was on the front side, and more artwork. So lots of color inspiration as well. So those are by Carolyn Mace. Although her name is spelled M-Y-S-S, it is pronounced Mace. For what it's worth, this is the Power of Intention. This is a Wayne Dyer. This is an old card deck from Dr. Wayne Dyer. It's a 50 card deck. This artwork is a lot different. Very vintage or antique looking inspirations. You can see some of these are very similar to things that Tim Holtz has done, you know, where they're drawing from the old archive, shall we say, of artwork and things that preceded or the copyrights expired on. These are really simple encouragements. Acknowledge your creativity and genius. Find your purpose. Surround yourself with high energy people. Be receptive. Attract what you desire. Affirm your good health. Meditate regularly. Avoid low energy substances. Expand your reality. Be at peace with everyone. Attract the right people. Maintain an attitude of allowing. Respect yourself. And that's Wayne Dyer right there. He passed away from, I think it was leukemia, quite a few years ago. And then on the opposite side is an expansion of the thought from the front side. Any of you know what that is? Any of you remember what that is? We'll see how young or old you are. Any of you know what that is? Predates computers. Anyone? Anyone? Do you know what that is? Let's see. Do you guys know what these two things are? What kind of eraser? It is an eraser. What kind of eraser? Any ideas? Eraser for a typewriter. Yep, it's a typewriter eraser. This was a little rubber wheel, a rubber disc that was around here. This is a brush. This was a pink eraser, so you had to be really careful, and it had a little abrasion in it, abrasive material, so you had to be careful when you erased and you made a mistake on a typewriter. You started out with this kind of eraser. When they got to the point where they made them into a pencil shape where you could go in and you could really erase only little fine mistakes, that was a huge step. And then once you erased it, then you brushed away the mistake with the little brush. Yeah, that's what a typewriter eraser used to look like. Do you know what the other thing is? Connie got it. It's a metronome. Yes, that is a metronome. It's a metronome to keep time when you are playing a musical instrument. Yeah, I've had many of those. I've had them as the mechanical ones, like those, and I also have, I'm just going to put these like this, and I also have had them where the metronomes changed into a little rectangle that you could fit in your pocket, and you could set it with it was a little battery powered thing. I'm sure they have many other things now that are far better, but I've had many metronomes because I was a piano major in college. Okay, and then I have one other card deck to show you. I'm just putting these off my desk. That's how many card decks I have, you guys, at this point. Unless I find some more, which could be that I may find more as I'm unpacking stuff. Hello, Joyce. This is the acupressure cards deck. And so this is one of those that helps you with physical things. You can actually assist your own body or someone you care about for it's not necessarily that you're not doing anything to heal them. You are simply assisting their body in healing itself or relieving something. You can call it what you wish. But there are acupuncture points all over the body, and by applying pressure, if you know where to apply pressure for various ailments or situations, sometimes you actually can give someone some relief. Anyway, so I'm always interested in things like that. Okay, so there's all the card decks that I have. So I think what I'm going to do, instead of, let me back out so the camera doesn't drive itself crazy. I think what I'm going to do, instead of using the card deck, I think we're going to just do something kind of fun. Yep, I have one too, Barbara Clark. I surely do. They work well. They do work well. You do have to wind them up. The mechanical one, you have to wind up with a little mechanism, a little key mechanism on the side. Sometimes those keys are detachable. It's better if they're not, but this is all a bunch of translucent or transparent papers we're going to use. And we're just going to paste down some papers. I'm just getting a group of papers here to put out on the things to pull from. And we're going to do things relatively quickly. That's going to be nice. Okay. Some of these are deli papers, which are the kinds of things that you wrap sandwiches in, or different things you get at a deli, conveniently called deli paper. And they work really well for either making prints on a jelly plate or pulling second prints off of a jelly plate, and so forth and so on. They're very good. The acupressure cards really are quite good. So I got them at Barnes and Noble, I'm sure. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull off some of the edges that are white. I'm going to take those off. If you guys hang around till the end, hopefully we will see race, and hopefully we're going to be able to have a drawing today. I have 2 things to give away, and hopefully he's going to be here to help us out. But before that, we're going to do that at the end of the stream. But before that, we're going to see if we can make something along the line of the using an inspiration cards deck, which this is kind of coming from that, some of the card decks that I looked through in preparation for the stream today. And so I'm just using a spatula. This is a catalyst tool, non-stick silicone catalyst tool. And I'm just ripping up things. I'm going to do them in strips. That's what my goal is, to use strips here. I'm going to be a stripper today. And we're just going to put these things on here and kind of overlap stuff a little bit. And some of the background of the paper may show through. We probably put a coating of some kind of paint or something on top of this. And I'm just going to work from one side of the paper to the other, I think. That's kind of what's in my head. We'll see what happens. And then we're going to put something on top of this, draw something on top of this, and then we'll either rip it up and make something out of it, or make a journal cover out of it, or I don't know what we'll do with it. We'll do something with it, but we're just going to do something that doesn't require a lot of thought. I'm not much in a thinking mood right now. Or a decision-making mood, because I have made decisions for months and I don't want to make any more decisions today. I hope you're okay with that. And I'm just going in a linear fashion It could change. We could do something different in a minute. I'm not entirely sure. But the whole goal right here in this moment is to just cover the base paper with other papers. And I'm using Liquitex acrylic matte medium for my base. You've given away 4 cards. Good for you. Keep going. I challenge you to give away 2 more this week, Barbara. Give away 2 more. That's your challenge. They're really nice to put in cards. We're talking about the Mandala Madness cards. They're really good to tear up and use in your artwork. I very often have 2 sets of things because I do like to be able to use stuff, but I like to have, that's why we end up with all this stuff in our creative space, because we really enjoy having things and we like to share them with other people, but oh, it hurts our soul when we get rid of the last one, doesn't it? So we end up, for lack of, we don't like to use the term, but we end up hoarding things, don't we? Yeah, we do. It's a fact. We do it. Okay, this is a piece of, I think, tissue paper. I think. So we're going to put this tissue paper on here like so. I think that's what this is. Tissue paper that I added marks on top of. And this is just the paper. I don't know that I told you, but the paper that I'm working on top of is just drawing paper. So drawing paper is not very heavy. $260. Well, I didn't buy them very long ago, and they certainly didn't cost that much. Check on Barnes & Noble, or check on the secondary market from somewhere. That's kind of silly, isn't it? In fact, it's really silly. Okay, Barbara, I don't care how much you like those. Don't spend that kind of money on those cards. They're really nice, but they're not worth that. Definitely not worth that. Okay, what I'm doing is I just keep adding some of the matte medium. The reason I'm using this silicone tool is because if you let the material dry on it, the glue dry on it, then you can peel it off, or you can wash it off easily. And you don't have to clean out a brush. Even better, huh? All right, let's see what this is. This is a piece of deli wrap that is bizarre looking and very ugly in its own right, and so we're gonna, when something looks really ugly that you've made, cut it up, tear it apart, and I can almost promise you that it'll be one of your favorite pieces. Like, I really like that. Like that, but like this, no, not so much. Not so much. I don't like that. Well, hopefully I'll never be desperate enough to sell those cards, but you know, never say never. And I'm working on a nonstick mat. This happens to be the Ranger nonstick mat that I have attached to a piece of masonite with Gorilla Glue. That's what holds that nonstick Teflon stuff down, is not Gorilla Glue, it's the Gorilla Tape. Oh, sometimes you just have to read between the lines, because I'm doing things and talking and telling you this, that, and something else, and trying to think all at the same time. And you know what? Sometimes it doesn't all work together. Sometimes all the pieces and parts between my brain and what comes out my mouth. One of those cards, one of those snarky things is, I have a good heart, but oh, this mouth. That is kind of how my mouth works sometimes. It's like, okay, mouth, what were you thinking on that one? And the point is, your mouth doesn't think, your brain is supposed to think, but it doesn't always happen. All right, we're getting close to having this covered. Just a couple more strips. And hopefully we'll have it covered. Let's see, what about a little more of this one? And when you're doing stuff like this, don't get married to the, oh, but I really like this piece of paper. Most of the time, if you get too hung up on a piece of paper, you're going to disappoint yourself, because that's going to be the part that gets covered up or torn up or something. So don't let yourself get too attached to anything that you're doing like this. Just go for it, and just allow it to just kind of show up the way it wants to show up. All right, let's see. Sometimes your papers will tear really well because you're tearing with the grain, and sometimes they just won't tear worth a bean, and that's because you're tearing against the grain, and so they take on a life of their own and do all kinds of weird stuff. And so just change the direction you're tearing, which may not allow you to access the pattern that you were wanting to access, but perhaps it will let you get some of the color. Maybe not the whole pattern that you wanted, but maybe you can get the color just in a different shape than you'd hope to get. Okay, and let's do one more little, I need one more little piece of something here. Not that one, because that's its neighbor. So how about this one? And this we're going to tear into two pieces. because one wasn't long enough, so tore it into two. And then we got a piece here that maybe we'll put a little chunk of something right there. How about this one? Nope, that's the same as its neighbor. Okay, let's do another little piece of this. I'm trying not to think as I do this, but you know, try as I might, I still think. Hi, Kate. Good to see you. Is the sound still doing okay? I hope nobody has complained, or at least I didn't read that you said anything, so hopefully it's doing okay. Alright, I'm going to hit this with a little bit of the heat gun. Hey, Mickey. Good to see you. I just now saw your name up there earlier in the chat. Alright, let's see if we can get this off of the non-stick sheet without tearing it up. And clean up some of the mat here. My mat is cruddy enough that that its non-stick quality is not quite as non-stick right now. If I would take time and scrape it, let it get good and dry, and then just scrape it with a plastic card, like a credit card or whatever, then that would get rid of a lot of the crud. Okay, so let me see if my heat gun is hooked up. Let's see. Hopefully it is. If not, I will hook it up. We will. Nope, it's not. Alright, let me plug in my heat gun. Okay, well, right now we're making a piece of paper, Kate. That's what we're doing right now. Just covering a piece of paper with transparent or translucent papers that have been jelly plate printed, or most of these are jelly plate. Some of them are just scraped paint, but they're really quite colorful, and actually I like that piece of paper just the way it is. But this is where you don't want to get too attached to your paper, not too attached. So don't get too attached here, Barb. And I've used, another reason I've used the scraper to put the matte medium on here is so that I had a pretty thin coat. Now, I'm not going to get this bone dry, but I'm going to get it dry enough. We're going to make something from it. It may not be today, but it could be today. Probably won't be today because it's going to have to dry. Okay, that's actually fairly, it's dry enough we can do something with it. So first I thought I would use white, like gesso or white acrylic paint, and I would put on here but I've decided to change my mind. I know those of you watching are shocked, but I'm going to use some of this iridescent medium because I really like it. You can get this in this tube, Liquitex Basics. You can also get it in a bottle, so it's a thinner consistency. And you can put it on with a brush, or in this case, I'm going to just lightly, because the papers are still pretty wet from the glue, so everything is a little fragile at the moment. And this should help strengthen the paper. It is a medium. It is Liquitex Iridescent Medium. You can get it, like I said, in a bottle, so it's liquid, or you can get it in a tube like this. You can also get the iridescent mediums to use. This is acrylic, but you can get one that works with watercolor. I don't have that, but you can get that. I'm not a huge watercolor person. Some of you I know are. I tend more toward acrylic, and I started out doing oil paint. I found a whole bunch of my oil painting stuff, things I had done from days gone by, that at some point I will drag out and show you. And some of it is it falls in the category of pretty crafty. Some of it falls in the category of approaching a more artistic design type of situation. But then we get right back into this awful discussion of art versus craft. I will never forget when I was asked one time, I was commissioned to paint on ultra suede vests that somebody was taking to market, hoping to mass produce. Now, why they wanted me to do the work that I did, because there was no way I could mass produce what I was doing. And I know this is just washing out terribly on camera, but it's not quite that way when it really dries down. Anyway, so I was at the time only working in oil. And I had made one of these. They were goose down filled ultra suede vests, so they were very expensive. And I had taken a class on how to do it, and I had made several of the goose down vests for various people. We did one for a client, and I did one for my mom, and I don't know, I did quite a few of them. Anyway, they wanted me to do, this group of women that were doing this had gone together. They wanted me to, they loved what I had done, the painting I had done, which was oil on ultra suede. And they wanted me to paint, some kind of flowers on these ultra suede vests. And it seemed like we did poppies on them. They were red vests, and it seemed like I did poppies on them. I have the samples stuck in my ultra suede box of ultra suede, and so someday I'll get them. I showed them to you guys one time, the ones I had. Anyway, the question came down from one of the people who said, and if at this moment, if my camera was cooperating with me, if my switching device was cooperating with me, I would switch to the full face camera for emphasis. And I would say to you, she said in her best haughty, snotty voice to me, she said, "Now, is what you do considered art or craft?" Bye, Joe. So all I'm doing here is, the whole purpose of this is just to unify these papers just a little bit and to make them a little less maybe independent of each other, blend them together, marry them together a little bit. Let them associate happily together a little bit. So I'm going to hit it again with the heat gun. The heat gun is not down too close to the surface. That way I'm not going to take the chance on boiling the acrylic paint, which is a neat effect also, but in this case don't really want it to boil the paint or the medium. But I love the effect of the iridescent medium. And some of these places there may be, you know, the original medium, the matte medium, may not totally stick all the paper down, and there may be some texture that arises, and you know, that's okay too. You know, I was so taken back. It was the first time in my existence of creating, my creative experience. It was the first time, and believe me, this was asked of me back in the 80s. But it was the first time I had been confronted with someone saying, I really like what you do, but you have to tell us, you have to justify yourself. That's the first time that had ever happened to me. Yeah. It happened to me again later in my experience when I was asked to come teach totally different subjects, but I was asked to come teach for a business, and it was motivational. It was like motivational self-help sort of stuff. And so it was a little bit on the order of Dale Carnegie, if any of you know what that. It wasn't Dale Carnegie, but it was kind of like that. And we got all the way where where they were literally, the business was at the point of hiring me. And she said, what is your degree in? And I looked at her and I said, well, what kind of degree are you referencing? You know, because I'm thinking oh, great. Now they want me to have a degree in, you know, some sort of business related something. And she said, well, no, you have to have a degree in order to teach for us. And I told her that I had an Associate of Arts degree, which is a 2-year degree. I had not gone on and finished my 4-year degree. Yes, Rhonda, you have a limit. You're entitled to have a limit. And she was absolutely horrified, and she looked at me and she said, oh, well, I should have asked you that earlier, because you can't teach for us if you don't have a 4-year degree or beyond. And I said, in what? And she said, again, for emphasis, I would go to just the one camera straight on. Here, maybe I should. I'll rise from the deep. There we go. And I said, you need a degree in what? And she said, oh, it doesn't matter what you have a degree in. You just have to have a 4-year degree. And down I go, emerging from the corner. So I felt about the same way about that question as I did, is this art? Is what you do art, or is it craft? Yeah. Okay, so there you go. All right. So here's this piece of paper, which was strips of, some of it's tissue paper, most of it's deli paper that was already painted or something from my scrap box. And then that was all put on with matte medium, which is this. Then to kind of unify everything, I used iridescent medium. The whole thing was put together using this thing, okay? And then I just cut off the edges because I can't stand the ragtag edges. That's just me. Yeah, that's just me. Okay, so now I need to go get a roll of toilet paper. Let me do that. I know. Don't get freaked out. It's part of the process. If this was 2020 and we were dealing with the shortage of toilet paper, scoot in front middle of the camera maybe. If this was the 2020 times and the shortage of toilet paper, we wouldn't be doing this. But we are. So I'm going to get myself you do need to use good toilet paper for this if you decide to try this. So I'm just going to give myself a stack of toilet paper because you go through quite a bit of it. I know. And this is also inspired from Carla Sondheim from many years ago. Alright, so I've got a stack. You will end up with ink on your fingers for what I'm going to do. Alright, I'm going to choose an ink. This is inspired by Carla Sondheim and also someone that I just watched on YouTube, and I cannot remember who it is. I wish I could tell you because I can't remember. Anyway, I'm going to use an Inktense pencil and and a container of acrylic ink. And that's what I'm going to use. Sometimes I use a pipette or the dropper from the ink bottle to do this, but in this case I'm going to use the Inktense pencil. This color happens to be ink black. And I'm looking for, here we go, oxide black. We'll use that one probably. I normally go back to black. I always think, oh, I'll use something else. This is matte. Waterproof. We'll use this one. I don't know. I don't know if I've used this one before, but we're going to use it. Okay? Because you might as well learn something new. Me too. Hi, Signa. Hey, Debbie. Good to see you. Alright, I'm just going to, this is a bottle of oxide black. This is Amsterdam acrylic ink. It's what I happen to have. Okay? Probably going to turn the Band-Aid on my finger totally black. Oh well. Alright, let's see if we can get this bottle open. Here we go. This is acrylic ink, so it is going to stain whatever. If you splatter it on your clothes, it's going to stain. Alright, so let's go. I'm going to put my stack of toilet paper over here. And I'm just decorating this sheet of paper, which I will later cut up. So there's the acrylic ink bottle. This is an Inktense pencil, and I'm going to dip this in the bottle. Okay, so you can see the ink on the pencil lid. And I'm going to start, and I'm twisting and turning the pencil as I go until I run out of ink. And I'm attempting to, and I may go back to my dropper because this I'm not getting as much ink as I want, but It's okay. So I'm kind of turning this, twisting it back and forth, okay? So it's sort of an abstract rose, okay? I'm going to set that inky pencil over there, and then I'm going to take this piece of 2 squares I'm going to use because that will fit the size. Maybe 1 square will fit it. Of what I have here, I'm going to drop it down, touch the surface. I'm going to go ahead and put this other one on top of this, and let's see what we get. What I'm after is to absorb the excess ink and then pull it off. Okay, and there's more. If I can see that it's still shiny, real shiny and thick, then I will come back and hit it again. But you really have to do a new section of the toilet paper because you can transfer the ink back onto the surface. Okay? Alright, so let's go again. I think it's going to work. You know, I always tell you this, but I have things that work in my head. But I'm not sure if they're going to work in reality until it works perfectly in my head. And if I have some drops and splats, that's just going to add more to the page. So as I'm going around, I'm kind of laying the pencil down. I do have a little more control with the pencil than I have with the ink. You know, the squirter part that comes in the bottle. You could do this also with a skewer, like a wooden skewer. Okay, so time for toilet paper again. So I'm going to get my little squares of toilet paper together. The reason for toilet paper is that it is highly absorbent for obvious reasons, I might add. Could you use something else? Because that's the question I'm going to get asked. Maybe. I don't know. Try it. I have found that toilet paper is the best. I get the best results. It is changing the line quality a little bit and absorbing the excess ink. Okay, so I'm just going to keep doing these abstract-ish roses, which is what and because this is an Inktense pencil, There might be the option for, I can't talk and do this at the same time. It's requiring too much concentration. Might be the option to add water, and that Inktense ink might add another dimension to this, but I'm not sure. Okay, we're going to call that one good. Time for, you guessed it, toilet paper. It does get on your fingers, so I have done this kind of thing with, I've made birthday cards, not exactly like this. I've not done the iridescent medium under it before. I've made mandalas with it. I've made faces. And is the toilet paper reusable? Well, you know, I'm going to say toilet paper is kind of expensive, but not too expensive, and so I kind of think of toilet paper as a rule as expendable. Just in general terms. So as you can see, that little bit was bothering me, so I just went over and added a little more ink to it. Doesn't really matter because it's going to get cut up, probably. So what I'm hoping is happening is that not only am I using the acrylic ink, but I'm hoping that some of the Inktense ink from the pencil might be getting wet and dissolving as we go to add something else as we go along here. If Elton is watching this, which I don't think he is, but if he is, he will be giving me all kinds of grief about this later. He finds what I do just sort of a mystery most of the time. That's okay, so do I. Oop. All right, toilet paper at the ready. Now, although this looks like that was a smear of ink, that was from a prior time when I did the paper technique on that deli paper or tissue paper. Okay, I'm liking it. I don't know whether you guys are liking it, but I'm liking it. Do just a tiny little one here. you're going to end up with a stack of used toilet papers. Okay. And you might be able to dry them out and use them, reuse them, but like I said, I kind of look at this as one and done. Now back in 2020 when we did a mandala using this sort of idea, I did save the toilet papers and I did reuse them on other artwork, not for some other purpose, but for art purposes. So I'm drawing and twisting the pencil, and it's getting easier the more I do it with the twisting. Okay. All right, do we have a question? Question above. It's so sad, Debbie. Yep, that is what's happening. That is what is happening. It is getting more and more because it is doing what I'd hoped it would do, which is becoming more, the Inktense is becoming more involved with the ink. Indeed. You get the prize, Barbara Clark. Yes. Okay, so let's go. Race hasn't shown up yet. Yeah, the toilet paper could be used in a collage. It surely could. All right, let's go here. Depending on where my hand is, the twisting action is easier. Going some directions. Okay. Wonder how much ink I'm going to have on my face when this is done. Because guaranteed when you start doing something like this, your nose is going to itch. It is just, that is the law of stuff when you shouldn't touch your face. Okay. All right, let's, And now I'm entering the zone of trying to talk and think. Not so easy for this chick. Okay. And I bet every one of you can't wait to do this. Actually, I think it's amazingly fun. Every time I get out this technique and use it in some form or fashion, I'm like, man, I should be doing this more because I just love this. Okay. But like I said, most of the time I do it with the ink dropper that comes in the bottle instead of the Inktense pencil. It's the first time I've tried that. Okay, that's all we're going to do to that one. Okay. I'm just turning it around so that I can kind of see a little bit more of maybe where I would just want to add a little bit of something else. And let's see, let's do one coming, and I'm doing things coming in from the edges on purpose, or things that will run off the edge. on purpose. Yeah, sorry, my brain just kind of went off on its own direction all of a sudden. I like things that look like they're running off the edge. That way you can use the pattern all the way to the edge, and it doesn't look like you created one. It just has a more cohesive look about it, in my opinion, and that's all it is. Okay, let's do one more little flower over here somewhere. How about, let's do a little flower coming in from up here. Let's see if we can do it. And if my hand is in the way, I apologize, but it is, the paper wants to curl up a little bit here. All right, we're going to call that good enough, I think. And let me get this last, soak this last flower up here, the excess. You do have to be careful because it will transfer onto your fingers, and then if you keep patting on the toilet paper, it will sometimes transfer that ink from your fingers back onto what you're doing, and you may not want that to happen. And then, as because it wouldn't be mine unless it had some dots, here and there. Now there are a few splatters here and there. But I would like to have some bona fide dots. And then I promise I will read the chat here in just a second. And some of these dots may get cut off, you never know. because that's just the way that works. Okay, so we're gonna Barb's gonna try to stop now and soak up the dots. Which is gonna make some of them not happy, and they're gonna spread. And that's a-okay. They're doing pretty good, actually. Pretty well, I should say. Okay, we're going to call it done. Let me put the dropper back in the ink because this is a recipe for disaster waiting to happen. An open ink bottle. Wipe off my Inktense pencil. And then while I clean up my hands just a little bit, I'm going to see if I can get a hold of Race to come and help me with the drawing. So 1 second while I send him a text to see if he can help me. Okay, so I've sent him a message. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Brenda. Hey, Angela. Oh, thanks. Thanks for joining. So that is our paper that we have created today, made with scraps and iridescent medium and ink from a bottle and an Inktense pencil dipped in the ink. Okay, Race is on his way. So we are going to have a drawing. Okay, so let me rise from the deep. It's so weird. I'm going to have to check with Race. We're going to have to see about that. So I'm going to show you what we're going to be giving away. So this is from a distance. This is what we did today. And so what we're going to do with this is make something from it. I'll do that Monday night. I don't know if we'll cut it up. I don't know if I'll make a journal cover. I'm not sure. A book, maybe make a book cover out of it. A journal cover. It's hard to say. We'll just see. Okay, so what we're going to do, what we're going to give away today, two things. And it's open to anybody. And the deal is this. If you're not interested in these things, no hard feelings. Because some people like stuff like this and some don't. If you don't like it, it is perfectly fine. You don't have to even have any... Thanks, Sarah. Thank you, guys. You don't have to enter the drawing. You don't have to have... you also don't have to tell me that you don't like it. It's okay. That's just perfectly fine. The first thing that we're going to give away, or one of the things we're going to give away, we may do this second. But anyway, we're going to give away this journal. So I'm just untying it so you can see it. I got a lot of crap on my desk, you guys, so I think I've got blocked out most of it. What that is. Anyway, it's making me laugh every time it does it. This is the journal that we're going to give away. I'm going to give away today. This is a handmade journal from a book. Okay, so it was originally a hardback book, and I took the guts out of the book and I made a journal out of it. So the guts are out, new papers are put in. They're mixed media papers, but they're not a high quality mixed media paper. The covers are jelly plate printed fabric. The end papers are jelly plate printed or paste paper papers. In this case, it's a jelly plate print. And this is a quote that I did that was, it is a Joanne Sharp inspired way to do text with watercolor. It's a good day to create, is what it says. All the pages are plain. It has a bookmark in it. The bookmark in this case is jelly plate printed fabric that are collaged. They're pieces that are collaged together and then stitched together. This was done in 2015, and then stitched together and put into stitched onto the bookmark. The pages are stitched in with wax linen, and once the pages are stitched in, the cords from the stitching, in this case, they are twisted. They're done in a twisting fashion. And then the little tag says this and that. So it's a this and that. Okay? So this is the book. So the way that this is going to work is once Race gets here, and it has the word journal on the front cover. Okay? There's nothing on the back. But there is the word journal on the front cover, so you know where the front is. Hi, Jean. When Race gets here, he said he would be right here. He's going to give you the word, and then the ties are dyed rayon seam binding to hold it closed, but you could always do something different. It's not a big book, and the paper is unlined, so you can do art in it, or you could write in it, or whatever you want to. Anyway, so what's going to happen is when Race gets here, he's going to give you the word to type in the chat. And if you want to enter the drawing for this, then you type that word in. It doesn't matter if you do it once or a whole bunch of times. It's only going to count. It will count whatever the thing does in the background to do the so far I don't think I have any black ink on me, which is good. Whatever it does in the background, it will choose at random one person who typed in the word, but it has to be the right word. Okay? That's how it works. There he is. There he is. There's Race, the moderator of said drawing. Then we're going to have a second drawing, okay? And this is the giveaway for the second drawing. So I'm going to show you, I've already shown him the book, so I'm showing him this one also. This is a doll that I designed for a book, and I have two of them, so I'm keeping one and giving one away. I'm not sure when I designed her. It's been a while. It was for a doll club that I was part of, and she is always a bridesmaid. That's what she is. There's a whole story that goes with her, and when I find the story, I find the book, I'll read you the story about her. Anyway, she's always a bridesmaid. So there she is, the bridesmaid. Okay. She has blue hair. She's blue and purple hair. She's been a bridesmaid for a really, really, really long time. And that's why she's always a bridesmaid. She has a bit of a frumpy character. Her bouquet is, you get, the bigger and bigger the bouquet gets, the smaller it makes your hips look. Yes. And she has a whole list of things that you learn about being always a bridesmaid. And I can't remember the rest of them. Anyway, she is on a stand. I have disguised the supports that she is on the stand permanently. Her shoes are painted onto her to match her dress, so her shoes do not come off. They are part of her dress. Her face is one of my stamps, my rubber stamps that we no longer produce, but we produced for a long time. And the base has ultra suede on the bottom, so she won't scratch anything. Okay? All right. Okay. So she is always a bridesmaid. Okay, Race, you want to tell him we're going to do the journal first. So we're doing this. We're doing the journal first. So what word shall we use for them? I'm going to let Race put it in there. He's going to come on any minute and tell you what word to put in. And once he tells you, then you got to put the word in. The word journal. Okay, that's what you got to put in. So you type it in, and then he's going to tell you when you got to stop. And the tag, by the way, on the journal cover, this is a dog tag, a literal dog tag. It's like a rabies tag that has some of the paste papers on it. Okay, 1 minute to go. So the whole thing is pretty much handmade, except I didn't make the book. I started with a pre-made book and then went from there. All right, once the Nightbot behind the scenes random draws your name, then you've got to contact me with your address. Even though you might think I have it, we're going to pretend I don't have it. So you'll need to go to HowToGetCreative.com and fill out a support ticket and just say journal winner, so I know. Okay? And that will go for the doll too, but we're only doing the journal right now. Okay, so he's going to tell you when we're done. 30 seconds more. And the fabric that this is made with is a heavyweight muslin, which is my favorite fabric. I get it at Hobby Lobby, but it's not the regular weight muslin. It's called heavyweight muslin. So that's what I use for them. And these were made in 2015. So they, or at least the bookmark was, probably the whole thing was. Anyway. So yeah, there you go. That's all the things I can tell you. Congratulations, Connie Kane won. Connie Kane, good for you. Good for you. Okay, Connie, you know the drill. Connie needs to, okay, the drawing's done. The drawing's all done. Connie Kane won that one. So Connie needs to go. Race, would you put the link in for where they go to, where she goes, the support? It's support at HowToGetCreative.com, right? He'll put it in. All right, I'm just making myself a note. And I will get it in the mail in the next week or two, okay? All right, so everybody make sure also before we do this one, there it is. Okay, he got it. The link's there. Everybody make sure that on your screen that the word live is, click that word live to make sure that you are live and not lagged in the chat, because I see some of you are a little bit lagged there. Okay? Because if you're lagged, you're going to miss the end of the drawing. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, there is a word live that's in the corner of your screen. Just click that word live or touch it if you're on a device like a phone or an iPad, because sometimes you'll get lagged in the chat. Okay? All right, next up, we're going to do the giveaway for the doll. She is, just so you know how big she is, she's about 12 inches tall. And I don't know how wide she is, bless her heart. She's 4 inches wide at her widest point. Okay, Race, what word do we want to use for this girl? I'm going to let Race choose it. But she is ready to go to her new home because I have the other one. So, doll. Okay, there you go. Same deal. Put in the word doll. and he's going to give you the time limit and count it down, and then we're done. Okay? And this was a lot of fun to do this. It was a whole group of us that wrote this book. It was for a doll club in Tennessee called the Adorabellas. And we did that book as a fundraiser. I was a long distance member. Once I went there to teach for them, and then I went back one other time for a retreat. And it was a lot of fun to do, and a great group of ladies. I don't think they meet anymore, but a great group of ladies. So it was a lot of fun to be part of that. And so they asked me if I would submit a pattern for that, so this was my pattern. Okay, 15 seconds. So she was my entry, and when I get my doll books unpacked, I will I don't think I have them in here. Looking to see. I don't think they're over here. But when I find them, I will show you the pattern. I don't think you can get the book anymore, but anyway, you'll know that I have it. Okay. Peggy Diaz won the doll. Okay, Peggy, congratulations. Not bad. All right, there you go. Okay. All right, so we have the doll, the winner for the doll, the winner for the journal. Thank you guys for playing along, and I will get these out in the next week or two. I'm trying like a crazy person to get everything finished up at the other house, and I'm making my way. I'm getting there, you guys. I'm 2/3 of the way done or more. Okay, there you go. Good. And with that, I'm going to take off. The VIP class is tomorrow. Your email will go out shortly. As soon as I get off the air, I will be sending that out. And so I will see you. I'll be back Monday night at 7 Eastern. And we will do something fun, probably with this sheet of paper that we just did. Okay? Thank you all so much for being here. Remember to support each other away from the chat. We got some people going through some rough stuff. So it's really good if you just support people in any way that you can. And do something nice for somebody, okay? And I will see you before you know it. So, as always, remember to get creative today, because it's easy. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.